Hi everyone and welcome to our card in a box tutorial. Obviously if you took a look at the photos at the beginning of the video you thought, hey, I'd like to know how to make one of these, so here we are at the tutorial part. So when we start, obviously we're going to pick some papers, and the kit that we used to create this card in a box is our Cottage Garden collection. Now, I've used the bundled Cottage Garden, so I've used parts and pieces out of the FQB, the little bits, the 2 paper pack, all that kind of stuff, the solid paper pack, all that kind of stuff. So I have used the entire pieces out of the entire bundle. So to create this, simply you start out, and let's press this flat so you can see this here. Let's press this flat so you can see it. This was a square piece of paper here. This is 7.5 inches by 7.5 inches. So you're just making a simple 7.5 inch square. And it's great because for the size of it, for those of us that don't have wide format printers, and we don't have one which prints 12 inch by 12 inch, you can print this easily on a piece of 8.5 inch by 11 inch paper, or A4 size paper for those of you in Europe. So what we do is, again, we use a matte presentation paper in a 44 pound when I printed this out, and I'm actually going to flip this over and show you. This was the other side. I didn't double print it. I actually, because it's a box, I wanted to give it some sturdiness. I printed a 7.5 inch by 7.5 inch of this piece of paper, and then I printed a 7.5 inch by 7.5 inch of this paper, the roses paper, and I just glued them together. So I ended up with a big square, okay? And I actually glued them together first before I did any scoring or cutting or anything. That worked out just fine. As long as you have a good scoring tool, that you should have no problems whatsoever. We have one of those, you know, those Fisker paper cutters, and it has a scoring blade on it, and that worked just perfect for me. So once you have your 7.5 inch by 7.5 inch, 2 pieces of paper, glue them together, off you go. Now what you want to do is you want to score every 2.5 inches. Okay, so we score the paper at 2.5 inches here and 2.5 inches from this side, which is, if you're doing them, 2.5 and 5 inches. And same thing here, we do at 2.5 and 5 inches. So you end up with a grid where you have 2.5 inch squares all over the place, okay? So hence, that's why it's 7.5 by 7.5, and that's why the box is the size that it is. Now, once you've got that grid made, you want to do your corners, because obviously when this folds up, you can see how these corners fold in here. So we have to make those score lines. Okay, and basically all you're doing is where, you probably can't see this on here. Let me see if I can flip this over. No, it's not any better on that side. This is where the 2 score lines meet, right here at this point. So I want to put my ruler there. I want to put my ruler at the very edge of the paper and draw that diagonal line. Okay, and when I do that in all 4 corners here, okay, so that way, this part only, I didn't draw it right through the center because we want to have that nice and flat. I just did it from, again, the corner of where these 2 score lines meet, right to the outer edge corner. Okay? So there's our 4 score lines for our corners. Lastly, as you can see, I cut the corners off. It just makes it, like when the box folds up, you probably don't have to do this, but as you can see, when the box folds up, it makes it a lot nicer because you're not fighting with extra paper that's folding in on itself. Because as it folds in, let's see if I can fold this where you can see it. As it folds in, you can kind of see that's where it ends up. Okay? If we had the full pieces of paper, they would maybe bind at the top here. So it's just easier to cut them off. Now, again, where do I cut? Well, you go from, let's just line this one piece up here, from the end of this score line where it comes off the paper to the end of this score line where it comes off the paper. Again, use your ruler, have those 2, use an X-Acto knife, use your cutting, your manual cutters, your Fisker's cutters. I just did the Fisker's cutters because we have the one with the metal band in it, so I could see exactly where I was cutting. And then we cut all 4 corners off, and you're left with this shape. Okay? Now we do all of our folding. So obviously, here's our score line. We want to fold that over, use our bone folder, get a nice fold. Same thing on this side, same thing on this side. and on this side. So we do all 4 sides, okay? Then once you've done that, realistically, as soon as you start bending it up, even though you haven't actually pressed these corners, it actually kind of folds up on itself, and you'll see that start to fold in. Then all I did is I just folded this in on the one side, and then took my bone folder, kind of pressed it down, did the next side, got it in there, took my bone folder, pressed it down. So that way you end up with nice folds. And there, folks, is your box shape. So that's how it's all gonna fold up, okay? And there's from the outside, so you can see how pretty the outside paper is as well. Okay, so that's our box. So our box ends up, just to let you have a look at it, it's 2.5 inches square. Every side is 2.5 inches, okay, because of how we scored it. So that's that piece. So for your lid, here's our lid piece of paper. And I used this beautiful quilted pattern. I thought it went so well with this floral pattern from the outside, as you can see them matching together. With the lid, you need 4 3/8 inches by 4 3/8 inches. Okay, so another square. I like cutting squares. A lot easier, right? You only have one measurement to remember. That's easy for me. Once we have that, let's flip this over so you can see all my marks. We measure in 7/8 of an inch from each side, okay? So you score at 7/8 of an inch on all 4 sides, okay? So 1, 2, flip it, 1, 2. So we've got all sides that are scored at 7/8 of an inch. Now, obviously, you need to make a few cuts so that way we can glue and make it a box top. So because it's a square, whatever way you want to hold it, it doesn't matter. We want to cut basically the same sides, okay? And what I mean by that is when we're cutting, just so that we have gluing tabs, you're going to see how this goes together as a gluing tab, right? But basically, you want to cut, if you're cutting the top, then you have to cut the bottom. If you wanted to do this side, well, we would have cut this side tabs and we would have cut this side tabs, right? So just make sure when you cut them that they're both running vertical. You're cutting both of the verticals, okay? We don't cut anything on the horizontal here. Hope that makes sense. I don't know, maybe it didn't for you. So what's gonna end up happening is we're gonna end up putting glue on the insides here, folding this up, right? Glue that together, glue this side together, and we're gonna end up with a nice lid that is gonna easily attach onto the top of our box. So that's how you make the box, folks. I think that was fairly simple, and I will be back in a minute with the finished project. I'm back. See you soon. And look at our box. Isn't this great? A sweet little box, perfect for a Mother's Day gift, and it really doesn't show much as of yet, but you can see the pretty roses on the top. Again, this is our cottage garden collection, and everything you see here, this flower cluster is already clustered together for you. This tag is already made for you. The lid is our quilt paper that comes in the FQB, and the sides, I'll just show you the sides here, is our rose paper. Here, I can show you the bottom. That'll give you another better example of it. That's our floral paper that comes in the kit, and that also comes, this has a white background, there's also one with a pink and a couple of other colors, so beautiful kit to work with. And let's have a look inside, because that's where the real thing is. You know, for a small little box, it sure packs a lot of punch. And here it is, people. Look at this. This is, now it's kind of small probably on your screen, so I may blow it up and zoom up here in a second, but as you can see, I've used this for Mother's Day. I've said Happy Mother's Day. This actually came as a blank tag in the kit, and I just wrote on Happy Mother's Day here in a font and placed that on there. Those of us here in North America, Mother's Day is still about 10 days away, so I know some of you have already celebrated it, but let's get into seeing what this is all about. So let's start in the back here. Here is a flowers bucket. This is already, like I said before, all done for you. Comes in the kit exactly like this. The separate little roses come in the kit. I don't know if you can see it back there. I'll zoom in on this when we're done. There is a little lace border. That comes in the kit. So all that I've done, same thing with these tags. I've sized things down. Obviously, most of the elements are sized to 50% of what you get them at in the kit. And most of the papers are sized down by about 60%, I think it was, is what I did, because I want the pattern to be within scale of actually what is here. So these ones I've put up on the little foam dots. Obviously, I wanted to give it a little more dimension. These ones here are just up on the little jelly dots, the little sticky jelly dots that I showed you in the last video. They're a 3/8 inch jelly dot, so that you can kind of get a little dimension out of them, but not kind of conflict with this here. So panel 2, this beautiful one here, again, this is a roses border, and it actually is quite large. Even after I scaled it down, it's still about probably this big. I just trimmed it off where I thought it looked nice to go on here. And what I've done here is actually I've backed it with a gray paper, then I have the green. Then when I put this border on, I just glued the ends, and these little flower packages, just let me pull these out of here. These little separate seed packages, aren't these fabulous? Aren't they cute? So I've left these because I thought you may have some stuff in your stash, like maybe you have a dot that says love or whatever, and you certainly don't have to use this for Mother's Day. Obviously, this can be for, imagine if this was for an anniversary or a birthday or, you know, there's so many uses, and so many uses with this kit. Maybe it's for a friend of yours who really gardens, maybe it's for a party. This only took me about an hour and a half to make, so imagine if you were making, say you had 6 couples or 4 couples coming over and you made 4 of these. How great is that, right? So that's that side. Panel 3, this actually has a beautiful little cluster, gardening cluster with the watering can, the shovel, a birdhouse. Again, this is all done for you. I have used my Cricut machine in order to cut these out, because that, while I was busy cutting papers, my Cricut was cutting these out for me, so that went really well. And again, another lace border, and the Cricut, when I zoom in, I'll show it to you, but the Cricut actually even cut out the little holes in the eyelet. So that's how intricate it can cut. And this I've also made a pocket out of, because I wanted to slide in a little tag. So let's just flip this around. This tag is the same as this tag, but it is just resized differently. So that gives you an idea of all the options that you have when you create with the digital kits. You have multiple options here. So this one as well, I thought you could write a sentiment on here, you could write a sentiment on the back, whatever it is. You know, anytime you create something, it's so nice to have so much visual interest in it that people really, you know, the idea is fun for you, number one. That's fun number one, but also fun number two is having that delighted person where they have all these kinds of things in it. And the last panel here, again, I printed out a green background paper, then I printed out the striped one and glued those two together. There is a heart that's in behind here. That is another element that comes already done for you with the flowers on the top, everything like that. So I pasted that down. And then I pasted this floral cluster, again, which comes in the FQB. I pasted this down with jelly dots to give it some dimension. And same thing with this tag. I used the foam dots there to give that some dimension here for Make Every Beautiful Day. So folks, that is the box. I'm going to do a little bit of zooming here because I want you to be able to see the intricacy of these things here. Let's just zoom in on this. Look at the detail on that, where you can see, this is where I was saying, where the Cricut cut out even the little lace part. This one here, just to give you a close-up of everything so you can really see. That's Make Every Day Beautiful. Here is the flowers one. This is beautiful as well. And like, you get that bucket with all the floral in it. There is again that lace border and all cut out with the Cricut so that it makes it super easy. And as well, this is the one here with the seed packets. Let's fold that back so that the light can get on that properly. There's the one with the seed packets in it. And as well, the center portion. And again, like I said, this could be happy anniversary. This could be anything. You could put chocolates in this box. You could put like a little gift if you wanted to. You have so many options with this, like because of when it folds up again, let's just do this real quick. Like you think about the space that you actually get in there, that's actually not too bad. So like I said, you could have a few chocolates in there, whether it be for someone's birthday. Hey, if it was for an engagement, can you imagine this as a ring box? And somebody opens this up and you've got these beautiful sentiments and everything else in here. Now this kit as well, lastly, our cottage garden collection. I've just used the floral components out of this, but there's also bird houses, there is watering cans, individual elements. If you have a gardener in your life, this is definitely get this kit, because it has all kinds of gardening things in it that you would really utilize a lot. There's rubber boots, and there's the shovel and the trowel and the rake, and there's all kinds of things in here, as well as the florals. So I hope you liked the video. I hope you'll really try making one of these little boxes. They are super fun to make, and look at how it turned out in the inside. It was just, like I said, for a little box, it packs a lot of punch. So thanks for tuning in. Please let me know if you have some comments. Please comment below. Please like our video and like our YouTube channel so that you'll know when we have new videos that are posted. And I hope that you'll try one of these yourself. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.